Hello witchlings, welcome back to my channel. It is me, your local chaotic witch aunt. And today we are doing a revisited episode. We are revisiting the basics of sigil work, which I think was a 2021 video. So I'm hoping it's not that horrendous. This is when I was in my old house, I cut my hair, so it looks like early 2021. So let's get started. Let's just hop right into it.
Hi witchlings, welcome back to my channel. It is me, your local chaotic witch aunt, and today we are talking about sigil magic.
Old intro.
Shit fucks. A great thing to learn about. I actually have notes on my phone because sigil magic is such kind of a broad concept. So what we're going to be talking about in this video is
Is sigil magic a broad concept? I guess.
Talk about what is sigil magic, why I like it, a little brief kind of background of chaos magic, some things that I've noticed with chaos magic online, and then what I do to create sigils and what to do with them. So creation, charging, and release. So there's kind of like two parts to this video. But starting off, we're going to ask, what is sigil magic? It is created from chaos magic. It's a way to cast spells that can be used as a tool. You can use it in many different ways. You can put it as inside another spell, like as a tool to implement into a satchel or a candle spell, or you can use it as a method by itself.
So far so good. No ick. I am kind of loving, I think I got rid of this sweater. I totally got rid of that sweater. I am kind of loving the sweater though.
Like it for multiple reasons. It's low materials, it's easily hideable, so if you're a broom closet witch, it's really easy to use sigils because most people aren't going to notice a piece of paper with a symbol on it, and it can be paired with other methods of spell work, which I already kind of talked about. I know Witch of Wonderlust and Witch of Southern Light recently did a video talking about sigil magic. I will link it down below or up here.
Damn, my planning really interacted with my friends.
Here, whatever editing Frankie can manage.
Editing Frankie did nothing. This is before I had Sally. Now we love Sally, and I would die without Sally. Hi, Sally. Everyone say thank you, Sally. I didn't put anything in here.
Absolutely love both of them, and I think that they are great resources for people online studying and learning about witchcraft and or the occult. So to understand sigil magic and how to use it means to an extent understanding chaos magic. And I say this because I think everyone should understand the context in which a tool or method of casting spell work was created. So basically, chaos magic is success-based magic and often emphasizes the attainment of results over symbolic, ritualistic, or theological elements of the occult.
I definitely took that from Google. That is a Google definition right there. Good job, Frankie, for doing your research, but also I know. I see you.
Chaos magicians frequently create or treat belief as a tool, and chaos magic was actually described as a union of traditional occult tools but applied to postmodernism or postmodern skepticism, specifically concerning the ability to know or the existence of objective or absolute truth.
The reason I know that's a Google thing is because I'm listening back and like my brain isn't wrapping around it. Like I understand some elements of chaos magic. I'm not a chaos magician, but I do use something like sigils or elements of chaos magic in my practice. Less so than I did several years ago. I'm more folk practice now. But I'm listening to myself talk and I'm like, that's a lot, babe. That's a lot. I don't have the attention span for this.
Magicians often create idiosyncratic magic systems, borrowing from different magical traditions, religious movements, different strands of philosophy, and pop culture.
That I know.
That's like a brief, very brief synopsis.
If you're interested, read Condensed Chaos by Hine. I love Hine. He follows me on Twitter.
It's obviously a lot more complex than that. I really recommend Condensed Chaos by Hine if you're...
Same brain. Same Brain. I love that.
Interested in chaos magic, it's a great book. As I said, I will list all my resources or book racks down below.
Did I? Condensed Chaos and Sigil Witchery by Tempes, Zakroff. Nice. Okay.
And I think the biggest thing that I've noticed with chaos magic, especially in the online witch community and the online witch sphere, is that if you're AFAB or femme presenting, people will basically claim that you don't know anything about chaos magic.
That's still true. I'm pretty sure I got a comment on this that was like, a Wiccan doing chaos magic? What? And I was like, okay, I'm not a Wiccan, but what? I don't even think I said I was I have never said I was a chaos magician either. I was just talking about sigils. And they were like, you can't do it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was like the wildest thing. And it's not everyone. I want to be clear, it's not everyone. I've met a lot of people who are very much in chaos magic, who are femme presenting or identify as women. They are great. But it's definitely something I noticed and still notice to this day, especially when you go out of your way and kind of talk about chaos magic online a little bit more. And I definitely can think of like several people who have experienced similar things, but that in itself isn't necessarily just chaos magic. I think that's a byproduct of the online occult community by and at large, especially when someone who is like femme presenting says they're an occultist and not a witch, because there's still this kind of weird deviation of like, occult is for men, witches is for everyone else. Like, it was kind of it's kind of weird. That's my personal opinion on that dichotomy, but I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit so we can get to the meat.
Chaos magic, or people saying, oh, I can do this, I'm a chaos magician, it looks a little bit more like intuitive or chaotic witchcraft, not necessarily.
What am I talking about? I skipped too far. This is the most boring video. Genuinely. Like, nothing's happening.
What you start out is you start with a petition. You can do a keyword.
Intention, not petition.
You can just write it out. So I guess I'm gonna be doing a random one today. So I'm just gonna write out, I am prosperous. Very simple. You usually wanna use present tense. You can see on my page, I am prosperous.
I literally can't see that.
Usually mine get a little more complex than this. They get pretty intense. So from there you go through and you want to get rid of any repeating letters. So I am getting rid of the second O, the second P, the second S. So it turns into I am P.
This is so boring. I am so bored. I think it's helpful. I think it's really great, but it's boring.
E-R-O-S-E, get rid of another R, U.
Oh, there we go.
It becomes a nice little conglomeration of letters. So from there, I write out 1 through 9 on my paper, and underneath that, I write out the alphabet. From there,
I'm just quickly gonna make this unlisted.
I'm going to go through and match up every letter that I have with a number. So I is going to be under 9, A is going to be under 1, M is going to be under 4, P is going to be under 7, so on and so forth. I like to circle them, so if I go back and realize I accidentally left in a repeating letter, I, can fix that. And then you end up with a conglomeration of numbers. I have 9, 1, 4, 7.
I think we need to do more showing, not telling in this video. I would love to see me talk through it with the paper right in front of the person, so they're not just listening to me talk. I know that I wasn't great at that kind of editing, but so. If you're really interested, the rest of this is drawing a clock face here.
We're gonna connect it.
Where's the clock face? Clock face, okay. And then you draw it. Done. And then I go on to finish sigil. Finish sigil.
Show you guys the finished sigil.
Nice, pretty.
And so
I'm just gonna go straight to charging sigils. I want to hear what I say.
Charging sigils. Now there are lots of different ways to charge sigils. The most known way, and what you'll see a lot in chaos magic spheres, is originally people were just
I'm bored.
Masturbate with it.
Yeah, that's a thing still. So far, the way I do sigils is the same. If you want a more not even complete, but written down version of it, I have Patreon, Wrestler and Medicatira do spells, and sigil writing was one of them. It's also in my book, Spells for Change. I wrote an entire section on this. Charging sigils, masturbate with it is a great way. If you're like me and you every once in a while dabble into spicy magic, by spicy I mean smex magic, you can take the oil of your choice that matches with your intention, draw it on your partner's body or your body, and have the sigil be charged that way, and then the sigil can be carried around with you on a piece of paper. A few other things you can do. You can put it under a crystal. I don't use crystals a lot anymore, but that's what you can do. You can pray over it. You can leave it in the moonlight. You can take a candle, draw the sigil on a candle, burn the candle down, then write the sigils on pieces of paper. Boom, sigil charged. I feel like my sigil magic hasn't changed that much in a year as much as I think people expect. I definitely use less sigils, mostly because they take me so goddamn long to make. I gotta like write it out, and then I gotta do the I don't do them as much. I typically will use them if they're being painted on someone's body. That's kind of where I go with it. Or putting on my body. I can do sigils in my glamour makeup. But I do have like typical sigils that I use over and over and over again. And I think that's one of the best parts of sigil and sigil making is you do it. You can create one and charge it and use it over and over again, and then you just kind of build up the meaning for it. I used to have sigils taped around my room when I was like 16, 17 when I went to college that were supposed to help me clean. That did not work. I think that sigils, you know, in terms of like putting them up on walls, I think that they need to be charged first, because I most definitely did not charge the sigils I put up on my wall, but I honestly feel like they work a little better when you are just kind of burning them or using them in a spell instead of kind of like putting them around your room or your space, unless they're already charged or part of an active spell or you are using them as the literal ward. That's just me.
You can do that if you want. You don't have to, but that is a way to charge a sigil. You're basically feeding it energy. My favorite method is to set it under a crystal.
I don't do that. I'm lazy.
Meditate with it, channel my energy into it. Like any way that you exert energy, you can put that into the sigil and that charges it.
I'd probably, at this point, realistically, I'm like I said, I do sigil for spicy magic. But I also can use a sigil. I dance a lot, so I probably put it like in my bra near my heart space and take it with me. One time I tried to put a sigil in my underwear and then it disappeared. It didn't go like, if that's what you're thinking, but it did disappear. I'm pretty sure it fell out, so don't try that.
Basically charging the symbol. For me, and one of the ways I charge my symbols is I will charge them for every single use in a spell. And that symbol, if it's the same symbol that I started using a year ago, will continue being fed that energy until it gets to a point where it probably doesn't need to be fed anymore. But that takes about a year or more of.
That's literally what I was just talking about. I do that. I have this one sigil that I can have continued to use since 2020. It's good. That's a good time.
Continuous feeding and continuous use. And from that charging, we then move to release. Release is where you release it into the universe. You give it up. You
set it on fire.
Give the intent away, much like a candle spell, pushing the intent out. You can do this several ways. You can bury it. You can use it.
I do think you can bury it if you want to give it to the earth, but I would... Okay, here's my take. If you're releasing something and you bury it, it's going to take a long time for it to decompose, right? Stay with me, hypothetically. So it's gonna take a long time for it to decompose and all the bugs to eat it, especially if it's a piece of paper. So only do that if you want more long-term, one, and two, if it's something that you want to stay on your land for a long period of time.
In another spell and just have the spell take it. You can burn it, my favorite method. If you want the sigil to...
I have always been someone who loves fire, except when I was a kid. I was terrified of it, but now I am a witch, and candles, setting things on fire, I don't know why. Maybe it's the Aries in me.
Kind of continue being fed energy and continue kind of working in a certain way. You can use it in a spell. I think that there's a lot of different ways to release energy. For me, when I create the sigil and I charge the sigil and then I put it in a spell, if that spell doesn't get burnt, that sigil is just being fed. It takes on a mind of its own. It kind of keeps working, even if I'm not physically burning the piece of paper or physically kind of removing it. I obviously put the sigil out of my mind because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to forget about the sigil. And while this means sigil meanings, it can also mean just forgetting that it exists.
I do that a lot.
Which is I do a lot. I make
Same brain. Some things never change. That's all I'm gonna say. I've changed a lot in a year, but some things never change.
Like, I forget about it. And it works because that's how chaos magic works, is it's getting you to the result. But yeah, this is like a whole lot of my favorite stuff. I think chaos magic is super interesting. I implement certain levels of chaos magic into my craft alongside folk magic, especially sigils. It's one of which the best way to use sigils is just write them on a piece of paper and stick
Love ways to use sigils.
them places. Put it in your bra, put it in your hat, put it in your wallet. You can put them anywhere and just forget about them. And it works. And the reason I love it so much is because they've worked for me and they've been one of my favorite tools for so long. And like we were talking about in chaos magic, belief is a tool.
I think of all the things that have stuck with me from my earlier days of witchcraft is that belief is a tool. And I think it very much continues to persist in my folk magic practice because so much of it is about belief. Our Father, a prayer, I may not believe in it, but I know a lot of other people do. I know how much energy it's been fed for how long. And I know that's why it's powerful. Not because I'm talking to God, but because so many people have used it and prayed with it and used it and called upon it in times of stress, and it's given that energy. And you think like Our Father has been around for how long? That sigil that you created may not have the same hit as that, which is part of the reason is why I moved away from sigils into kind of older methods of like praying, symbols, etc. is purely because I had to my energy only goes so far. My belief only goes so far. I'm not gonna believe I can fly and jump out a window. It's not gonna happen, right? So I wanted to pull on something that energetically, communally, has a lot of power behind it from not just me, but people of all different backgrounds.
Once you give this symbol belief and magic and keep using it and working with it over and over again, that is what makes it powerful.
Good job, Frankie.
But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I kind of wanted to do a little tarot kind of haul because I got a lot of tarot decks, and about a year ago I think I did a video where I'm like, meet my tarot decks. I was considering on doing one of those.
Funnily enough, I am planning a new deck collection video soon as I'm kind of packing, maybe getting ready for moving. So you may see another deck collection video coming up. So overall, I don't disagree with a lot of this video. There are some ideas in it or people I mentioned that I wholeheartedly no longer support. That's why I'm taking it down, is because I don't want someone to see this and think that I still support them. I really don't, because I don't like them. I also think that I don't love the format of just sitting and talking at the camera with no music, no B-roll. And I have started implementing those changes as of recently in my content, and I am more confident about the content I am making now because of that. Because even then, looking back at this, I know it's a really great, really informational video, but it still feels like it's missing a certain factor with it. It's not very engaging. It doesn't feel like, even if I'm talking at the camera, it doesn't really feel like I'm giving y'all a lot. But that's just me. I know some people are going to prefer this sitting talking content no matter what. I prefer the B-roll and kind of cutting to a lot of different things to keep y'all engaged. But that's just me. That's just my personal thing. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around for another revisiting basics video. I don't know when you're gonna see this. I'm hoping sometime in November. maybe late October, depending on when I decide to start doing 2 videos a week and how long I can keep it up for. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys sticking around through everything that's happened. Yeah, if you want, you can like, comment, tell me about your sigil making, what you use sigils for, or how you make them. And if you want, you can subscribe and turn the bell on, but absolutely no pressure. Remember to drink water and have a fantastic rest of your day. Siate benedetti. Stay. Anyone want to see Benji real quick? Hold on. Benji! All right, bye.